Alcatraz. The name alone stirs unease. A cold, isolated rock in the middle of San Francisco Bay. America's most infamous prison. A place built not just to contain criminals, but to extinguish hope. For decades, we've been told the same chilling story, that the island's greatest weapons were its iron bars, ruthless guards, and the shark-infested freezing waters that surrounded it. But what if that wasn't the whole truth? What if something far more terrifying lay beneath the surface? This is the story of the Alcatraz Alligator Conspiracy. Yes, it sounds ridiculous, like an urban legend whispered around a campfire. And that's exactly what they want you to think. The rumor has circulated for generations. Strange creatures housed in the prison's subterranean systems. Dismissed by officials, laughed off by historians. But if you follow the trail of whispers, declassified blueprints, and cryptic testimonies, you begin to uncover a darker possibility. When Alcatraz was converted from a crumbling military fort into a federal penitentiary in 1934, it underwent a massive infrastructure overhaul. The island's plumbing and sewage systems were rebuilt from the ground up. And in those blueprints, now partially declassified, we find something unusual: reinforced concrete tunnels, oversized underground cisterns, isolated chambers far larger than necessary for basic water management. Engineers who've reviewed the plans point out that these structures could easily support self-contained freshwater pools, heated, filtered, and entirely cut off from the corrosive salt water of the bay. Combined with unaccounted-for high-voltage electrical lines running into those areas, the evidence suggests more than just sewage maintenance. These chambers could have created the perfect environment to house warm-blooded reptiles, alligators. Now let's look at the testimonies. Most are second-hand, passed down by the children or grandchildren of former guards. One man described his father referring to drained beasts flushed through secure netted channels during cleanings. Another mentions a mysterious recurring livestock budget in prison financial reports, an odd expense for a facility without animals. And a guard's redacted diary entry from 1942 references a containment breach requiring a specialist team from Florida. No official explanation was ever filed. This isn't proof, but it's a pattern, a deliberate silence, whispered warnings, guttural noises echoing from the pipes at night, all pointing to something the official narrative works hard to erase. So we ask again, why would the US government put alligators beneath a prison? It all comes back to psychological warfare. In the 1930s, America was obsessed with exotic animals. Alligators were a symbol of wealth and menace, collected by elites, exhibited in zoos, and treated as dangerous novelties. The idea of using them as a security threat wouldn't have seemed absurd in that cultural moment. Alcatraz wasn't just designed to hold criminals, it was a monument to federal power, and fear was its most effective tool. Imagine you're an inmate. You hear stories passed down from the older prisoners. You hear low, wet growling sounds echoing from the drains late at night. You see a guard smirk when you ask about them, but he never answers. The fear would be enough. You wouldn't need to see the creatures. The imagination would do the rest. That's the core of the theory. The alligators weren't just physical barriers. They were psychological weapons, a form of mental torture meant to crush inmates' spirits before they ever thought about escaping. Some theorists even suggest the legend was aimed at one prisoner in particular, Al Capone. Capone was a master manipulator, capable of bribing guards, intimidating inmates, and maintaining control even behind bars. But a threat like this, faceless, primal, and unbribable, would have been beyond his reach. It was a warning to him, and to every other gangster of the era, you're no longer in control. The government will go further than you can imagine. Skeptics, of course, scoff. They say alligators can't survive in salt water, which is true, but that's not where the story places them. The creatures were supposedly kept in the heated freshwater systems beneath the prison, not in the bay. By attacking the most absurd version of the story, alligators roaming the shoreline, debunkers dismiss the more realistic, disturbing possibility. It's a classic tactic: build a straw man, burn it down, and call the whole thing fiction. As the decades passed, so did the prison's operational life. By the 1950s, Alcatraz was crumbling. Infrastructure costs soared, public scrutiny increased, and a program like this, if it ever existed, would have been impossible to justify. So the story goes that it was dismantled. Quietly, efficiently. The animals removed. The chambers sealed. The records purged. Only the myth remained. Allowed to linger, but only as a joke. A weird little rumor to amuse tourists. A final stage of the cover-up, ridicule. But the whispers didn't stop. During the 1971 Native American occupation of Alcatraz, protesters reported strange noises at night, movements beneath the buildings, sounds they couldn't explain. In the early 1980s, a National Park Service employee inspecting a sealed sublevel found what he described as deep claw marks etched into a concrete wall. The report was classified, the area resealed, and no further inspection was authorized. To this day, certain sections of the prison remain off-limits, officially due to structural instability. Yet engineering reports show no danger. Some of these areas are among the most reinforced on the island. So what are we left with? Blueprints that suggest it could have been done. Financial oddities that hint something was done. Eyewitness accounts, scattered and unofficial, that claim it was done. And a clear, era-specific motive, control through fear. No, we don't have a photograph of an alligator in a pipe. But that doesn't mean it never happened. In conspiracies of this scale, the absence of evidence is often a result of deliberate effort. The Alcatraz Alligator Conspiracy forces us to reconsider how far institutions will go to create symbols of authority. It asks whether the real weapon on Alcatraz wasn't a gun or a cage, but a monster designed to live in our minds. And if something like this was possible in the 1930s, where else might it have happened? What other programs have been buried, scrubbed, laughed off as legend? The answer may be more disturbing than the legend itself. If this story made you question what you thought you knew, if it made you wonder what else might be hidden beneath the polished surface of official history, then you're exactly the kind of mind we built this channel for. So don't let this be where the rabbit hole ends. Like this video, subscribe to BrainBuzz Media 24, and hit the bell icon so you never miss what we uncover next. Because the deeper we dig, the stranger the truth becomes.